بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I praise Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I thank Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and I ask him to raise the status of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family, his companions, and all those who follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. Let me quickly acknowledge all of you whom I can briefly and return your greeting. Wa alaykum as-salam, Fatima. Brother Floyd, wa alaykum as-salam. Brother Garrett, wa alaykum salam. Cousin Stanley, wa alaykum salam. Imari, wa alaykum salam. Samira, wa alaykum salam. Selina, wa alaykum salam. Fatima Muhammad, wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. Yuki, wa alaykum salam. Isla, wa alaykum salam. Aqila, wa alaykum salam. 2025, walk with me, Sister Patricia. Wa alaykum salam. MashaAllah, Texas, now in Mississippi, on your way to New Jersey. MashaAllah. May Allah give you a safe journey. Sister Khadija, wa alaykum salam. Malika, wa alaykum salam. Dhamira, wa alaykum salam. Salva, wa alaykum salam. MashaAllah. I wanted to briefly mention to you all in this scattered thoughts, because I told you we're going to have scattered thoughts up into the summit. And then after the summit, we're back to our studies and back to our lessons. But you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in several verses of the Quran about the reality that the way of life that is acceptable to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala is al-Islam. As Allah said in the Quran, Inna ad-deena 'inda Allahi al-Islam. Verily, the way of life, or you can say the religion that is accepted to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala is al-Islam. And Allah said, وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. And I accept Islam as a way of life for you, as a religion. And he also mentioned, وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلُ مِنْهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. That whoever would desire or seek a religion, a way of life other than Islam, it will never be accepted from them. And in the hereafter, they would be of the losers. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said there would be no Christian or no Jew who hears of me and what I've been sent with and then does not believe in me, except that they would be a companion of the fire. When we take these verses of the Quran and this hadith and other verses and other ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it should tell us something. That our life, our reality, everything we're doing should be to establish Islam in the land. That's reality. And everything else falls under that effort. So yourself, your family, your community, your social, your political, your economic, your cultural involvement, all should be to establish Islam. I think this part sometimes we miss because of our engagement in the world and its activities. We forget our purpose. Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala said about the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam that he is the one huwa alladhi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa din al haq liyudhhirahu ala din kullih. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who sent his messenger, meaning Sayyiduna Muhammad salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, with guidance and the religion of truth, which is al-Islam, din al-haq, so that it will prevail over every other way of life. That's our job, to establish Islam. And that is an individual responsibility on everyone within their sphere of influence. So all of us can do our part. We can't all do the same thing. We don't all have the same ability to be influencers. However, every one of us can use our influence in some aspect of life, some segment of the society, some segment within our families, within our friends, to establish Islam. And the African American Islamic Summit is just one among many efforts to establish Islam. And for me, I bear a big responsibility in that, in terms of it was my idea. And as Imam Talib Abdul Rashid, may Allah preserve him, mentioned at one summit, I never forget it, stop coming up with things that you're not willing to do and trying to shift that to someone else. He was particularly talking about imams. Someone always come to the imam and say, Imam, you should do this. No. Since you came up with this bright idea, why don't you do it? Right? Why don't you do it? And maybe I will assist you with it, but you need to do some things that you come up with. So, since this was my bright idea, I need to do it. And the way I do it is by using all of the resources that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has given me, whether they're intellectual resources, financial resources, physical resources, relationship resources. Use all of those resources to put on an event that will help us establish Islam in a segment of our community, which happens to be the African American community. And through that, use that group of individuals who came together from a specific background to now build them up so they can serve the Ummah and spread Islam throughout their areas, throughout their states, throughout the country, and ultimately have an impact on the world. So the work that we're doing with the African Islamic Summit, though it may seem at its initial stages small in scope, I'm telling you, my mind is global and historical. My mind, the way it works, is global and historical. I'm not just thinking about today. I'm 100 years down the road in my thinking. I'm telling you how I think. I can't speak for someone else. Me, my mind is 100 years down the road. And because it's 100 years down the road, I look 1,000 years or more in the past, historically, to see where I'm going and realize where I'm at. And the reason why I look so far back is because I don't want to make the mistakes presently that will hinder our future growth, so that when history looks back on us, that we actually did something that was beneficial for those who are going to come after us. I realize we're not going to be here forever. We have a certain amount of time, which is very short in terms of the world. And we have to make the maximum impact with that short time. The most difficult thing with this job is to engage people who don't have that kind of mind. That is the most challenging of all. The work is easy. The challenge is getting people to understand the importance and the significance of the work so that they engage in the work. That's the most challenging part. If you could inspire people to engage in the work, even though they don't see it, it would be much easier. And Imam Siraj, he said at one conference, it may be last year or the one before that, last year's African Islamic Summit or the one before that, I'm not sure which one he said it, but I never forget what he said. He said a lot of times, and this was in his fundraising pitch, he said, you don't see the vision. A lot of times you can't see the vision. He said, but what I ask of you is to trust the visionary. A lot of times you can't see the vision, but there's a visionary person who sees it. We need you to sometimes trust the visionary, even though you don't see the vision. And I mentioned to us earlier that if we're going to be successful, there needs to be trust, loyalty, and sacrifice. If we're going to be successful, there needs to be trust, loyalty, and sacrifice. We're working very hard. Don't you be the one to let the air out our tires. We're working very hard. Don't you be the one to take the air out of our tires. A lot of times people can't see the vision, so they sabotage unintentionally. A lot of times people can't see the vision, so they sabotage it unintentionally. Some intentionally, but I want to have a good opinion. Sometimes unintentionally, because we don't see the vision. And we can't accomplish the vision ourselves, and we assume that the visionary is like us. And obviously, the visionary is not like you. So it's very important that each of us know our place in this historic movement. And everyone has a place, even if your place is get out the way. Could y'all put that up? Everyone has a place, even if your place is to get out the way. Please put that up. It's very important that we understand that. Everyone has a place, even if your place is to get out the way. Can we please copy that? Everyone has a place, even if your place is to get out the way. Could everyone copy that? And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. This is so important. It is extremely important. And it applies to every single one of us. I want to tell you a story and my own experience and show you if someone don't learn to get out the way, how others will be affected. When I first became the Imam at Masjid Muhammad, one of my first things to do was to put on seminars and retreats and conferences at Masjid Muhammad and bring scholars from all over the world. That was my first mission. I was already teaching for about 2 years before I became, no, 3 years before I became the Imam. I was like the assistant Imam. I was helping and I was teaching. So I already had classes, but I used to just teach and I didn't really get involved with the administration of the masjid. I was on the Imam staff and that's all I would do. Teach, 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 and whatever else was going on, I didn't concern myself with. So when I became the Imam, I said, now the first agenda for me is not religious politics of the masjid. I'm not interested in that. My first thing is to educate the community, to take this level of education to another level. What I need to do that is I need to bring qualified scholarship to the masjid so that we can expand the knowledge of the community. And in those days, I had a lot of resistance because people didn't want to religiously develop. They wanted to stay where they were at, which I opposed with the most strongest opposition. We're not staying at this level of education. Forget about it. But I didn't have money to do the job. So I was saying the masjid has to pay for it because we don't have the money. And they didn't accept. They said to me, we have you and that's good enough. I said, not for what I'm doing. Not for where I plan on taking us. I'm not good enough. And so they still didn't give me the resources to do it. So because I was teaching outside, I was always teaching. I'm still doing it. I'm always teaching outside the masjid. So I wouldn't say I ain't doing as much as I used to, but I'm still doing. So I went out and I used all the resources that I knew and I helped pay for the first event. And I brought Sheikh Samir from Syria. And the first conference that we done was we did a full weekend explanation of Al-Aqidah At-Tahawiyah with Sheikh Samir explaining. And it was packed. People came from all over. And it wasn't till that event was packed and they saw the masjid filled up with people from all over the place that they begin to see what I was talking about. And from that point on, after they saw some manifestations of the vision, we've been doing for almost 14 years, 15 years, regularly education, growth, scholars from all over the world, teachers, imams, conferences, programs, right? We went from where we were at to what we're doing today, a gradual growth to where it was a time that people mentioned Masjid Muhammad and they would be like, oh, them people don't know nothing. They are, deviants and, all that nonsense. And it was some of that was true to a point we're nationally recognized, internationally recognized, right? And have a global impact from Masjid Muhammad. But that's a vision I'm talking about. And I'm mentioning Masjid Muhammad because we are an extension and a furtherance of that mission. So just as those people years ago didn't see that we would be doing what we're doing today, that the masjid would become what has become today, I want to say what we're doing now in the African American Islamic Summit is just a beginning of the capacity we can have to have an impact on this ummah if we are committed, if we trust the vision, and if we're willing to sacrifice. And if we're not willing to do any of the above, the minimum we could do is get out the way. Don't be a hindrance, not with our lack of participation, not with our negative energy, not with our interference with our opinions, what we don't understand. Get out the way. Do you follow what I mean? It's very important that all of us play our role. Every single one of us play our role, whatever it is, right? We're trying to go somewhere, and it takes work to go where we're going. It takes a lot of work. It's difficult job. It requires 1,000% of yourself. Not 100. 1,000% of yourself. Now, all of us don't have that capacity, and we should all understand that. All of us should know our limit and stop at your limit. All of us should know our limit and stop at your limit. Now, notice what I said. All of us should know our limit and stop at our limit. That's my limit that I need to stop at. Your limit may be further. I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to stop me. And I'm going to encourage you to keep going so that we can go further. You understand the difference? I'm going to stop at my limit. My limit is here. Can't do no more. But if your limit and your capacity is more and we need more, I'm going to encourage you to keep going. And you can count on me up to my limit. And that's where I'm going to stop. I'm not going no further, nor am I going to hinder you from going further. I'm going to stop right here. But you go ahead and do the rest. Y'all follow me? All of us, every single one of us in the 3, 4, 5, 3 family need to think like that. Right? Everybody needs to think like that. This is so important for our success. If we're going to win, everyone has to know their capacity. Everyone. You have to figure it out. Know the extent you can go to, know where you need to stop, and just be committed and loyal to your capacity. But realizing that what is needed is definitely above my capacity. Do you see what I said when they told me that we got you, that's all we need? I said, no, 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 no. No, we need more than me. We need more than me. I only can do this much, but we need this much. So I'm going to encourage someone else, as an example, Sheikh Sam here, to give us that other thing we need. But because you're not willing to go that far, don't stop us. Just say, this is my capacity and get out the way. But we need to go further. You follow my point? So for me, I have a capacity. I'm going to work up to my capacity, and I'm going to give you everything I got. And when I reach that capacity, I'm going to say, here's where I stop. But this is what is needed. And let's encourage the ones who can go to the next level to do it. Y'all follow my point? Is this point clear for everyone? I need everyone to understand it. This is not specific for any individual. It's for all of us because we're a family. And if we're going to be successful as a family, as a people, all of us need to understand this. Not understanding this will kill our work. I'll give you an example. How much do we need to raise at this summit? I'm going to show you something. Y'all ready? Give me 1 second while y'all put it up. How much do we need to raise during this summit? I told you yesterday. Let's see how much we were paying attention. Okay. So, nah, Fatima Muhammad, you doing more than limping. You running. May Allah reward you. All right. So, why did I say that? I want to share something with you. So I said 100,000. What is that 100,000 primarily for? I told you that too. So you got the 100,000. So everyone knows what we're looking at. What is it for? I told you what we needed. Primarily, we need that amount for what? Because I told you why we need it too. I didn't just say we need money. I told you why we need to do it, right? So what reasons why we need that kind of money? Right. Okay. Now, I also told you historically, recent history among our great leaders who mentioned this is an issue. Who was it? Let's see if we're following around. I mentioned among our great leaders in the African American community, Muslim leaders, who mentioned this is a problem and why he couldn't do his work. Who was it? Right. So history is the best thing to reward our research, right? Do we want to repeat all of the great work that Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz did, a global icon, but he wasn't financed. So it really ended up going to waste. And it's just a historical record and we could benefit from it. But we should learn that if we don't support the work, it could be the greatest idea in the world. But if you don't support it, it ain't going nowhere. And let me read something to you that he said. It was among the last things he wrote before he was killed, before he was assassinated. And I found it. Very interesting. They asked him a question. A question was asked to him. And he wrote these answers the night before he died. So it's this is like his last words in terms of his writing, the last things he wrote that's documented. He was asked a question. He said, question was, have any of Elijah Muhammad's followers left the movement with you? And do you think that your breakaway from the movement has affected its main body in any considerable way? Look at his answer. Yes, many of Elijah's followers could not go along with his present immorality, and this opened their eyes to the other falsities of his doctrine. Now listen to what he says after that. But we have not been able to regroup and reorganize them as we should. It takes finance. And we left all treasuries and properties with Elijah. And he uses this wealth that we amassed for him to fight us and keep us from getting organized. We don't have no money. So no matter what we're raising the consciousness of people, this is my commentary. If we don't have no money, we can't organize them. We can't teach them. We can't improve their situation because we don't have the financial resources to really reach them. That was his issue. In fact, this same organization offered him to come to present his issue in Geneva, Switzerland, and he wrote back and said, I can't come because I don't have any money and no one is supporting me. And Imam Naim always shares that letter. So if we're going to do the work, this is going to have to be a financial commitment. It has to be, or it doesn't work. You know, I studied in Lebanon, right? Among the places I studied in Lebanon. And I remember an organization when they were starting up, they had a big gathering and they were fundraising for their mission. They were a small organization at that time, not big. And they had a fundraiser, and at that fundraiser, they laid out what they wanted to do in Da'wah, in their teaching and spreading their mission, right? And at that fundraiser, they raised millions of dollars. This is a country, so it's a little bit different, right? This is more, it has political elements to it, economic, educational. It got a lot of things to it. Schools, so you're talking about a big, big mission. However, the point is the same. At one of their fundraisers, the women alone gave 50 kilograms of gold. You know how much that is? Pure gold. They were just taking off their stuff. Earrings, right? This 50 kilograms of gold. If you want to get that picture, that's like 2 big, huge boxes full of gold. So one bracelet, small bracelet, could cost $10,000. Could cost like 10,000. So that's just one little bracelet. We're talking about 50 kilograms of gold, different type of things. That's how committed. But guess what they did? They built schools. I'm talking about all the way up. Huge high-rise buildings for schools. They built businesses. They built a university. They spread all around the globe. They built their own teachers from their own people, tens, maybe hundreds of them, and they sent them out to different places to teach around the world. So even though their people oppose them, they're so financially strong that you can't stop them. Where everyone else had to go print their books with publishers and meet regulations, they built their own publishing company. Do you understand my point? This is something I saw with my own eyes. And I've been watching that work for 30 years. Yes, I want to show you something. You asked me a question. Yes, they had it, right? Do we have that? Yes. I want to be honest. Whether you give it or not, I just want you to be honest. Don't lie. I guarantee you right here, we have $100,000 right now. I guarantee you, and it won't hurt us at all. I guarantee you, we have $100,000 right here, and it won't hurt us. We do have it. With no doubt in my mind, we have 100,000. Does anyone not believe me that we have 100,000 right here and it won't hurt us? Does anyone doubt that? I'll be honest. We talking real talk. This is scattered thoughts. Scattered thoughts is real talk. We have $100,000. I guarantee you, we have $100,000 in here and it won't hurt nobody. We're not talking about above. We're just talking about the 100,000. We have 100,000 and it won't hurt nobody. No one will be hurt. Let me tell you why. Let's be honest. Let's take families. I guarantee you there are 10 families in here that have $10,000 that have been sitting in the bank for over a year. I guarantee you. I guarantee you there's 10 people in here, whether it's a family or an individual, that has $10,000 that been sitting in the bank for more than a year and doing nothing but letting the bank collect interest and invest your money. I guarantee you. Am I wrong? I said just 10,000. I'm not talking about the hundreds of people that's watching. I'm talking about just 10 people. 10 people have $10,000 that's been in the bank for more than a year and they ain't doing nothing with it. It's just sitting there. Okay, there's your 100,000. And I ain't asking who has 5,000, who has 1,000, who has 500. I'm talking about who got 10,000 or more. Now, the question is, so it's not like we don't have it, is we don't believe in ourselves, we don't trust people, we don't have no vision, and then we'll sit back and say how they did that and why we're here. No, they did what we won't do. That's why they're where they're at and we're where we're at, not because we don't have it. How do I know this? Because I do it for a living. My life work is inspiring us to do our own thing. So I know what we have. I know us. I know my people very well. right? Because we've done it over and over and over again. I've seen what we can do. I know what we can do. I have no doubt about it. Let me give you the other end. Some of us don't have money, right? But all of us have somebody who loves us. Would you agree? I may not have no money, but all of us have somebody who loves us, right? Am I right or wrong? Follow me here. I'm trying to show you how to think through the thing you think is difficult, which is very easy, but because of your mindset, it becomes difficult. But it's actually easy. It's not even difficult at all. All of us got someone to love us. All of us. Even if it's one person, somebody love you, right? And that one who loves you, will do for you if you ask them. It's depending what you're asking them. Especially if it ain't necessarily for you. You say to someone, listen, I don't need you to do nothing for me, but we're trying to do something in our organization. We want to educate. We want to feed the homeless. We want to do things in our community. We want to build. I just need you to donate to that. They'll do it. Even if they're non-Muslims, they'll do it. I know I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I'm not asking you for me. Help that organization. Help those people. I'll give you an example. Is Imam Naim there? I'm going to give you an example. Imam Naim, are you there? Is Imam Naim there? Imam Fahim, any of them, they'll tell you. To give you an example, they may have projects that me, myself, I can't fund those projects. But I do know people. And on many occasions, I will go to those people and say, yo, help them out. And they will give them the money. They didn't give it to me. I would say, Masjid Mu'min needs this. Imam Naim is trying to do this. He's working hard. Help him. Imam Fahim is trying to do this. Help him. I'm famous for that because I'm in those circles. Yo, they need this. Y'all got it. Help. Often, it happens. A lot of time, they get money and they don't realize that that money came through others encouraging people to help them. And the same goes with us. You'd be like, where did that come from? Someone told them to help you. They couldn't help you, but they encouraged someone else to help you. And that's where it came from. It happens all the time. So you have people that will help you help someone even if you can't do it. And they'll do it because of you. So even the one who doesn't have money, if you're committed, you have a value, you have a place. The thing is, how much do you believe in what you're doing? That's the challenge. Historically, we can look back, and all of us love Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, and he's telling us his problem. Why do we keep doing the same thing? You follow? Now, someone will say, okay, Bilal, we had this discussion. You're talking at one level, I'm talking at another level. I agree with you, but I'm telling you, I know what's on the ground. It's just a matter of what you committed. I know what's on the ground. I understand what you're saying, but I know what's on the ground. I know what we can do and I know what we're not doing because I watch. I'm on the ground. I watch in the masjid, and every one of you want to know how much money we got? When you go to the masjid on Jumu'ah, count the shoes. Look at the shoes and then get the price of shoes. Go to Jumu'ah and just look at the shoes. That's all you have to do. You want to know how much money we have? Look at the shoes at Jumu'ah. Look at the tennis sneakers. Look at the shoes. And depending where you at, people looking slick. Jumu'ah, they dress up. They pay attention to the shoes. And we ain't talking about the outfits. Just look at the shoes on Jumu'ah. And if you're good at it, look at the shoes that are different every week. If you're good, I do it. I pay attention. Look at individuals and see their shoes every Jumu'ah and see if they wear the same shoes. And I'm telling you, I'm one of those guys who wear the same shoes every Jumu'ah, so I won't be the one of them. But I have more shoes than I actually wear. I wear the same shoes every day, but I have different shoes. Every day I have on, if you watch me, every single day I have on the same shoes. My family has to argue with me to change my shoes. I wear the same shoes every day, no matter what. My family gets tired of seeing those same shoes and they buy new shoes, and those new shoes sit where they brought them until they just get on me enough where I change my shoes. And I only do it till they get off my back, and then I go put back on my shoes. I wear the same clothes every day. Every single day, I'll wear the same clothes, wash them, and put the same thing back on. Every single day. And those who live around me, they'll know Imam Amin had that on yesterday, the day before yesterday, the day after. I'll wash it. I'll wash just one outfit and put that same outfit back on and wear it for days. That's me. But I have clothes, but I don't wear that stuff. So I know what we have. I know that. Don't tell me what we don't have. But here's the difference. I live as I'm talking. I live the way I talk. I'm not just talking to you. Whatever I'm asking you, I do times 10. I do it. And I'm an imam. I'm in a community. People see, ask anyone who knows me. That's not, you got people from Atlantic City that's in my community. They watch me all the time. Ask them. Ask them. I live like I talk. I'm not just talking to you. I'm not asking you to do something that I don't do. Times 10. No, but I believe in what we're doing. And I know you can believe in what we're doing. I'm not saying be like me. I'm saying we have the capacity. Everybody got to know their capacity. Some people would go crazy even if they had clean clothes every day, they couldn't do it. I'm different, right? I'm not trying to get no wife, so it don't make me no difference. Maybe you pretty guys, you got to have a wife. You're trying to catch. I ain't trying to catch. I have what I need, and I'm very happy with my family, right? I'm not trying to get a wife, so they're with me. And that's it. So I don't got to impress them. As long as I'm clean and okay, it's fine, right? There you go. Testification from the youth. I can testify that Imam Amin wears the same brown boots every single day, with the exception of slippers and the masjid. Oh, why are you checking out my gear? What's up? Why don't you check out your husband's gear? No, I'm joking. No, because your husband always taking my gear because I don't wear it, right? MashaAllah. See, that's a witness, right? Husband just takes my stuff. You ain't wearing it. You never wear it. Let me have it. MashaAllah. See? There's the proof. But what I'm saying is when we're about our work, us, when we're about our work, That's more important than all that other crap. Our work is more important than all that other stuff. If we're serious, our work is more important than all that superficial nonsense. So don't tell me what we don't have. No, I don't. I have a whole clothing line. I don't wear that stuff. I have enough, just from the clothing line, I have enough stuff that I can change every day of the month. I don't wear that stuff. I don't. I never wear it. Once in a blue moon. Once in a blue moon. As my brother, my black brother TJ Jakes said, billionaires, rich people wear the same stuff. I'm not one of them, but he said it's only poor people who got to do all that other stuff. People with wealth, they don't worry about all that. You'll see them in sneakers and jeans, and this guy's a billionaire. They don't care about that stuff. Poor people need to dress up, dress to impress, right? That's poor people. And that's why we stay poor, because we got our priorities mixed up, right? We don't take care of our stuff. We're busy trying to look good, trying to look like we went somewhere instead of actually going somewhere. If y'all follow me. So I believe in putting us on the spot. I believe in putting us on, because we need to be on the spot to get where we need to get. I believe it, right? Because if we're ever committed, we have a lot of work we need to do, but we have to be committed. We have a lot of work, seriously. Just in educating our people, which is a 50-year journey for us, because we got to clean up all the mess that has been poured in our communities in the name of Islam in a false way. We got to fix all that. You know how many young people walking around with a bad creed in our community? Right? We have that job. People don't even know the basic fard ayn of the religion. That's a campaign to go teach them that. Because a lot of people can't move because they're not educated. Let me share another thing. A lot of people cannot move because they're not educated. And Malcolm mentioned the same. This is this stuff. He said, Malcolm, he said, education is a must, especially in this highly technical era. This is 1965, mind you. In my opinion, Muslim religious leaders have not stressed the importance of education to the Muslim communities. We're not educating ourselves. Big problem. Ignorance ain't gonna get you too far. Ignorance of the deen, ignorance of the world, ignorance of how to build, ignorance of the economy, ignorance of the political system, ignorance of the social structure, just too much ignorance. We have a mission just to educate our people. And when I say the money I'm talking about, that's just the start. Because no need asking you for $1 million when we ain't proved that we can make 100,000 work. So no need even talking about that. But we need way more than 100,000, I agree. But we don't need more than that to show we can start the work. We've done it with less, but we're trying to expand it, right? And let me break that down because I thought about it. I got the number. For a qualified teacher that's going to teach us just Islam, but we want teachers that can teach us Islam and also understand the context of our culture and our environment, because we're targeting a group of people, African American people, right? We're targeting them. I'm going to ask you, how much should a teacher, a qualified teacher, who knows the religion, who knows the culture, he's got both. He can teach religion and he can identify with the culture of the people he's talking to. How much do you think he should get an hour? Let's be fair. He or she, how much should that teacher be paid an hour to educate our people? Let's put a value on this. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something. $25 an hour. I'm not working for you. You can forget about it, right? She said, why not? You do it for free, right? I said per hour. I want to get your numbers. I want to know how you think, how you value something. And I don't need you to go crazy. Just what you honestly think is fair. Don't go crazy. It's not we're not trying to impress each other. Let's just be fair. What I would honestly think a teacher deserves and I would be willing to pay if I was his employer. How much a qualified teacher who can teach us Islam, qualified. I ain't talking about some person who don't know what they're doing. A qualified, learned person who could teach us the deen and understands our culture to interact with our people on the ground. So they got to teach and interact. So they got to deal with the dude who smoked weed, the dude who got a porn addiction, you know, the one who didn't have parents, the single mom who stressed the hell out. You dealing with that. You dealing with our inner city culture because that's who you're going after. Okay, so we got numbers. So with all these numbers I've seen, we can average it out at minimum from all the numbers I've seen. We can average it out to minimally say fair $50 an hour. That's fair. No one can actually really complain unless you're being greedy, right? All right. I would say this is a fair beginning to get you to do the work. I don't think any fair person, if I said, listen, I'm gonna give you $50 an hour, I need your help. I think that's fair, right? Would all of us agree? So we got all these numbers, but we could say $50 an hour is fair, right? I'm walking us through this because sometimes this is what we have to do, right? Will we agree that that's fair? From everything we saw, you see all what I see. An average of $50 is fair, right? Would we agree? Okay, so we can say that's fair. I need y'all to engage. I'm not talking at you, I'm talking with you. Okay. So we're saying $50. Okay. If we wanted to get each of them to do 20 hours a week in teaching, 20 hours a week, right? We want them to do 20 hours a week. I'm going to show you how little this money is. 20 hours a week. Y'all mathematicians around here. If I want you to spend 20 hours a week teaching, dedicated to teaching, at $50 an hour, how much is that? Y'all can do math. Quick. I want you involved. $50 an hour. We want you to do 20 hours a week minimum. Okay. How much is that? Okay. Right? That's 20 hours a week. We want you to do that all year long. Right? All year long. How many weeks in a year? How many weeks in a year? 52. So how much is that for the year? How much is that for the year? Okay. We said we want to raise 100,000. We only talking about 20 hours a week. How many teachers can we get if we raise the 100,000 at the summit? How many teachers can we get? Two. We can't get two. No, we can't. They're gonna have to take some time off. We don't have enough money. Wait, 1.75 teachers. No, I want you to pay attention to this. Okay. Now, because we all working together here. We're talking our way through this. Be patient with me. From your experience, just with the 3453 family, the black imams, Imam Fahim, Imam Naim, Imam Amin, from your experience, how many hours per week would you average out between us that we put in just teaching? I'm not talking about the other stuff we got to do. I'm talking about just teaching alone, pure teaching between us, all three of us, from your own experience, because y'all follow us. How many hours a week do we put in teaching? Just teaching from your own experience. I'm going to ask you, from your own experience, us combined, how many hours of teaching per week from your experience? If you put us three together, how many hours of teaching? Y'all not paying attention. Put them numbers up again. I said three of us combined. Combined, how many hours do we put in from your experience of teaching? Combined, I'm not talking about one person. Yeah, I said combined because y'all insulting me. I spend more than 14 hours with you every week, myself alone, just with you, let alone the teaching I do. I spend more than 20 hours of teaching by myself, way more than that. So y'all must be saying Imam Fahim and Imam Naim don't do nothing. Right. Okay. Imam Fahim and Imam Naim, y'all got to pick it up. Y'all ain't doing nothing. I'm only one around here teaching. No, when you experience, we spend a minimum of 50 hours a week teaching. Minimum. That's not reality. Right? And we do it for free. We don't get paid. Now, what we're talking about doesn't even pay us three, because we're only getting 20 hours, 40 hours a week. So that's only two people. You see my point? I'm just talking about just us. And we're not the qualified people we need for what we need to get done. Right? Do you see how much we have to do? And what we're asking is really only a little? It's nothing to what you're talking about 20 hours a week. And we do that for free. Do you see my point? Committed people will begin to understand what is needed to do this work. And that's what he was talking about. We're not finances. So therefore, how many people, now I'm going to ask of you, how many of you give free 40 hours a week, free, in volunteer teaching, or 20 hours a week in volunteer teachings, free? How many of us really do that? 20 hours free, just free, no money, just lillahi ta'ala. How many of us do that? Let's be honest with ourselves. We don't, right? How many, and anything else? How many of you give your time free for that? Do you understand my point? So when I'm asking, remember I said yesterday, we need serious people, because I'm having a serious conversation. And if you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, he said he never had a fight with his wife, except it was over money, right? Because she wanted him to put some money aside for the family, and he was putting all the money towards the mission, right? He was committed. We don't realize the value we had in such men like that. And that's why when they assassinated and when they're gone, what they were doing for us goes with them, because we haven't learned the value of sacrifice. We took this class one time on nonprofit organizations and grant writing, right? So the lady, she was like a Caucasian woman. She was very experienced in this. Right? She said, even if you do it for free, put a value on it. In your organizations, even if you're working as volunteers, put a value on it. I was like, it's volunteer. In my mind, I was thinking. She said, let me tell you why. Because your organization needs this to run. Even if it's somebody volunteering, don't count it as free. Because if that person ever stopped, you're going to have to pay for that. And you may think your organization is here, but when that person bails out and you got to pay somebody and you don't have the money, your organization is going to drop. Do y'all see the work? You see her point? So even if you're not getting paid, you need to put a value on it. Because if you don't do it, that person who's volunteering doesn't do it, if you still need that effort, you got to pay for it. And you're going to have to pay the market value or the market rate for that work. If your organization is already not having that in mind, you're going to lose that thing and it's going to hurt your organization. So what if Imam Amin gets sick? What if Imam Amin loses his voice? What if Imam Amin dies? Oh, who's going to do this every morning? Who's going to every morning get up and do what we do every morning, every day, nonstop, no excuses? Who's going to do that? For us, I'm talking about. Who's going to do it? for free. Either we find someone and they can't wait till I die. They need to get started now. They need to join right now and work. For what we're doing in the same context with the same value. They need to do the same thing now. Don't wait till I'm gone and just say, I'll do it. No. Now do it. Now do it right now. We don't need you. Good. Since you built like that, right now, let's get busy. We don't want to wait till I'm sick. We don't want to wait till I lose my voice. We don't want to wait till I die. Good. Add on. Come on. We need your help. You see my point? I want us to start thinking long term. Now you have to do that for years, not days, not weeks, not excuses, years. And guess how many years you have to do it? Till you die. You, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what you have to do, doesn't matter. Every day, unless you're incapacitated, you got to get busy. You got to go to work. You, every single day, you got to get up. You got to do it. Now, I don't care what else is going on. Right? You can't make no excuses. What it takes. Because sometimes we sitting on the sidelines and we don't realize what it takes to do what we need to do. We just on the sidelines with pom-poms talking junk. You don't realize what it takes. You still got to do your life. You still got to take care of your family. You still got to be the man you're supposed to be the man, and you still got to do the work. Now, let's go to capacity. I'm not talking about me. I'm just, because you're watching something, I'm helping you get the reality so you can see why I'm asking you to do what I'm asking you to do. Not about me. It's not about me. I'm not special. I'm nothing. But I know what we need, and I know what it takes to do what we need. I understand that. So I'm trying to encourage us to facilitate, just in case we don't get people who can do what we need, we can facilitate for them to do it. Do you understand my point? You can't make excuses. You have to do the work. And every time I think of that scene of Malcolm X and Betty, go watch the movie. When they had that argument about money and about that, go watch, just a movie. If you read, I'm more reader, it's more real, it's his words. So you can read that section in the autobiography of Malcolm X, where he talks about him and Betty having that fight, about his commitment to the mission, to the nation, and the family, and how that conflicts, right? That's work. And his response. We need men like that. My sheikh used to say, everybody want to marry the sheikh until they actually get involved. And when they get involved and they realize what it takes, then all that, I want to be with the sheikh, I want to be with the imam, go right in the trash can. It sounds great until you actually got to live it. And you realize what you thought you was getting into, you're not. And that's what Betty was saying. Hey, what about us? He's like, it ain't just you. All of these people are you. My family is not just my wife and my kids. My family is this whole people, all of them. That's my family. Every single one of you are my family. So just like I had a sacrifice for my family, you are my family. I got a sacrifice for you too. And guess who got to bear that? My wife, my children, all of them got to take that. And each and every one of us have that same responsibility within our capacity. That's why I said, I started. Everyone got to work to their capacity for us to be successful. You might not be able to do the same thing. Listen, I woke up this morning thinking about Sheikh Sammy. I want to cry because I'm so weak. I watch him and I'll be like, man, I'll be like, man, you're a lazy dude, right? I watch him, I'll be like, you are a lazy dude. This morning I was thinking that after Fajr, I was sitting there, I was just thinking about him. I was like, dang, man, I gotta get myself together. Because when I look at my schedule, though it may seem busy, it's a joke to his. We talking about 20 hours. Man, he starts after Fajr, through Fajr, does his work, goes to his clinic, does work on patients, then at night turns his clinic into a university, then do Mawali, then this guy's life is just Dean. And he's old. And I'm like, he keep going. He don't stop. And I seen him do that for years, decades. He don't stop. So, but he got a capacity that I don't have. So I'm gonna work to my capacity, but I'm gonna never get in his way. I'm gonna just be like, you the man, Sheikh. And how can I help? What can I do to help you keep going? To pick up where I dropped the ball, right? And inshallah, I can be inspired by you and do more and do more and do more. But all of us gotta feel that way. Do y'all follow my point? Because that's just one stage. This is just one stage of it. And it's a minimum stage I'm talking about. But if we're going to be going around on the ground, reaching our people, this is not just me. I'm talking, right? I'm only really repeating what history has already taught us. But we don't learn from history. We should start. I love this talk about history. Look at this. Some beautiful things we can learn about history. SubhanAllah, it's so beautiful. Right? If you learn from what preceded you. Look what Malcolm X said, 1965. He said, as a Black American, I do feel that my first responsibility is to my 22 million fellow Black Americans who suffer from the same indignities because of their color as I do. I don't believe my own personal problem is ever solved until the problem is solved for all 22 million of us. Much to my dismay, until now, the Muslim world seemed to ignore the problem of the Black American. And most Muslims who come here from the Muslim world have concentrated more effort in trying to convert white Americans than Black Americans. Subhanallah. That's Malcolm X. Does this not sound like the same thing? It's 2023, we having the same talk? Same talk. When are we going to learn? He said that 1965. It's 2023. Are we going to learn something? So we're speaking. No, this isn't another book. I read like all kinds of books. Sometimes research is very important. So I'm going to put out this is another project. Don't worry about it right now. This is a whole nother project. I'm a reader, Habibi. I read all my day. I'm reading books. You'll never see me without a book. I read every day, all day long. If I get 5 minutes at a stoplight, I'll read a book. That's just me, right? Because education is extremely important, right? If we want to win, we better learn. If you're not educated, forget about winning. You're going to lose. You have to educate yourself. And reading is a foundational element for education. As a Muslim, that's the first thing we learn in Revelation, Iqra, right? So, and I don't just read only Islamic stuff. I read all kinds of stuff, right? Because we're dealing with all kinds of stuff. We better know what's going on. But my point is just repeating itself because we haven't learned the lesson from history. So therefore, we keep doing the same thing. So what I'm encouraging us to do is we're going to enjoy ourselves at the summit, but come ready to work. We have a lot of groundwork to do, a lot. And we have to commit not only with our physical presence and our words, but also with our physical effort. And prior to that, our financial support to what we're trying to do. Allah mentioned in the Quran and described the believers like that. إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. The real believers, إنما المؤمنون, the real believers. That means other than them, just talking. The real believers, الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا. They are those who believe in Allah. They're convinced in Allah and His Messenger, and they never doubt. No matter what happens, they don't shake. Never. They are convinced. Then what? Not only are they convinced, that's from the heart level. What you going to do about it? وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِهِمْ وَأَنفُسِهِمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And they struggle, jahid, tushahid. They struggle, wajahadu, bi-amwalihim, with their money, finances. Allah don't make mistakes. Bi-amwalihim, first, their money, wa anfusihim, and their selves, fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah. Ulaika humus sadiqun. And if they do all that, no doubt, spend their money, make their physical efforts, these are the sincere, true people. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. He didn't leave out, oh, let me just stand by the side and I'm down, but I ain't doing nothing. No, I know you down. Now what you gonna do? I got the down part. What are you gonna do? And the first sound of you being down, be amwalihim, with their finances. And that's not enough. Wa anfusihim, and themselves. They're going to physically get involved too. They're going to work. This is what this is all about. That's reality. Other than that, you're just talking junk. And we can't afford to be people who just talk junk. We have too much work to do. This kid came to me, and I'll stop here. This young kid came to me from a family of Muslims. He was in the mosque as a kid, his whole family, studying and learning. And then he got to a teenager and the world grabbed him. He was out in the streets doing his stuff. He came to me. He's a young adult now. He said, Imam, I want to be a sheikh. I'm getting myself together. And if you saw him, you wouldn't even think that's on his mind, the way he looks, because he was out there in his little way, right? But he came to me, he said, I want to be a sheikh. And this guy, this young brother, been calling me regularly, and I need to get myself together because I better grab him before. But I'm busy, so I got to figure how I can squeeze it in with his work schedule, and it's hard, right? But he's like, I want to be a sheikh. Then a bunch of other young kids came. I want to learn. I have a bunch of young people that want to learn. You got to be available to teach them while still doing a bunch of them. And I'm quite sure all of us in our given areas have this same thing, that we have to collectively come together, organize, structure, put people in place to send them to different places. All that we need to do, and all that needs support. You go here. I can't. Yes, you can here. Go there, go teach those people. You go there, you go there. And strategically build communities, build people who have knowledge, not just we like act like we learning. No, we got really learned people. We taught here, we taught here. This one established an institution, this one established. We have work to do. This is a lifetime work. Wa'bud rabbaka hatta ya'tiyaka al-yaqeen. You're gonna die doing this. And if you're not gonna die, work to your capacity and help someone else work till they die doing it. Somebody has to be fully in, as what they said, 10 toes down. Somebody gotta be down. Everybody can't be half-baked. Some people gotta be in it, committed, non-stop. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? We have a lot of work. We need capacity. And trust me, I want to add this other layer. There's not many Black, dedicated, real Sunni Muslims with the definition we described. Ash'ari, Maturidi, and Aqidah. Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, and Fiqh, and people of Tasawwuf. You don't have a lot of Black people doing that. And teachers at that. Trust me, you don't. I know. There's not many of them. And even some of them that are there, and I love my brothers, but they lukewarm. They scared of the smoke. So they're Sunni, but we just, No, we need some diligent, Sunni, traditionally learned, traditionally trained Black teachers to go get our people. That's more narrow because it ain't a lot of them. Flip-flopping all over the place. It ain't a lot of strict, hey, listen, this is our methodology. We're Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, straight up. That ain't a lot of that in the Black community. And that's why most of you, be honest, how many Black communities you go and hear this kind of speech? I'm talking about religiously. We're Ash'ari, Maturidi, and Aqidah, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, and Fiqh. And we're people of Tasawwuf. How many Black masjids you see like that? And it's clear, explicit. How many? Y'all all here. Not many. Very few. So what I'm saying, we have to make that common. That's common in the Islamic world, but it's not common in our community. So we have work to do. We need someone with some guts. Because the youth, they can smell a fake. They can smell someone they are tough people. They tough. They don't need no cowards. They ain't going for the coward stuff. We ain't gonna be hiding. These young people, nah, they need someone who's a lion. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, I'm really trying to get you the idea. I can't speak of every single thing. We got too much. We don't have time for every single thing, but we definitely can start laying foundational elements. I'm not interested in people who keep telling me how we can't do it. I need you to just get out the way. I need some people who believe in what we could do. Everybody can sit around and tell me why it can't happen. I got it. That's why it ain't happening, because that's the way you think. it can't happen. I know. That's why it ain't happening. That's why in your area it ain't happening, because you think it can't happen. We need some people who believe in the work and who's going to be committed to the work and going to sacrifice for the work. It's a big difference. There's a big difference. All right, I talked you to death. I think y'all got my point. Tomorrow morning, don't miss. We're going to have join us Imam Talib Abdul Rashid. Who's one of our elders and pioneers in this thing from MIB in Harlem. He'll be with us tomorrow morning. So he's over 70 and he's still in the struggle. And we talk. So he'll be with us tomorrow morning and we're going to have a heart to heart. He'll be at the summit and he has an important presentation about education too. So tomorrow morning, don't miss. Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, Imam Talib Abdul Rashid will be with us and giving his input. And I'm going to put some tough questions to him. And guess what? His masjid, MIB, is in a way the successor of the work of Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz. Right? And he'll talk about that. But if you look at his masjid, and this is when we have honest talk, after all these years and as a successor, we still have a lot to go. Right? We still have a lot to go. Way more to go in education, and we have a lot to go. And that's after almost 60 years. Little more, roughly. And we still, I told you, I'm thinking 100 years down the line. If we keep working like we working, there's 60 years later. And we get to say, at least we ain't dead. I know you ain't dead, but you ain't living either. So I don't, do we want to be like that? La yamutu fiha wa la yahya. They didn't die, nor are they living. Come on, man. That's in the hellfire, that description. We ain't dead, but we ain't living. Come on, man. We got work to do. All right, barakallah fikum. May Allah reward you, inshallah. I hope this real talk gets us to do real work. Other than that, we still won't talk no matter what. We still want to try to inspire, because all it takes is a handful of people who's serious and we get the job done. That's like I said, that $100,000, man, just give us 10 real people. We got it. 10 real families. We got it. Now we talking about hundreds of people. I don't know why we can't get it. Doesn't make sense. That just means we're not committed. And that means the message ain't getting, we have more work to do. And that's why we can't afford to quit, because it may take 20 years to inspire one of us. And we have to be prepared to do that if we're serious about the mission. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Please have a good day. May Allah reward you all. Inshallah. Today's Monday. Tonight at 8 o'clock, Sheikh Walid Rifai will continue with his classes, inshallah ta'ala. So tonight's Monday at 8 o'clock, Sheikh Walid Rifai. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.